to Cowboy Logic, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you. You guys sent every star, every stripe to number 1 on iTunes rock charts, and you pushed it all the way to number 3 for all genres of iTunes.
How awesome is that? You guys rock. You guys absolutely rock.
To be humbled is an understatement. And we're going to be pushing this song the rest of the month for Memorial May, as you guys know. Mm-hmm. And we really hope, all you got to do is look down on that screen, hit that scan code, download it. If you haven't already done it, let's make a difference in the secular music market and show the secular music market that Real America's Music and the artists that are signed to Real America's Music are here to play serious ball.
Yep.
But thank you. We are indebted to you. And
it's so easy to do, too. $1.29 to download it. Sadly, a lot of musicians nowadays really can't make money unless they actually go out on the road. Because, everything's
which
pirated.
We will not be doing at our age.
That's true.
I've lived in that world my whole life. And I'm not about to go out on the road again.
Been there, done that. You have, anyhow.
But thank you.
Yeah. Very,
seriously.
Very cool. Hey, while we're talking about things, I think we ought to talk about Cowboy Logic.
This is so cool. Look at this.
Yes.
Look at this. It's a mouse pad.
Yep.
And Ron makes these at Cowboy Logic.
Laser.com. He also makes cutting boards. Anything that you want. You could just it's upside down. If you actually just send him a picture, he can put that on a mouse pad. He can put it on a coffee cup.
This is a husband discipline.
Yes, it is. But you've been good this week, so I haven't been able to have to use it.
Hey, thanks to you guys, we had a number 1 hit last week, and I didn't get beaten with the paddle.
Number 1 hit, literally.
Yeah, no pun intended. Hey, seriously, Donna and I are not making any money off of the Cowboy Logic laser products, okay? It's something you guys can help Brother Ron out. It's his company that hold this up so you can model
Very reasonable. Doesn't cost much.
Yeah, I'm not sure Ron, how much is this?
The mouse pads are $15 plus shipping.
There you go.
There you go.
So, but you can put any picture. Somebody sends you a picture, they can put themselves on a mouse pad.
Listen, if you want to do this, if you want to put David Zier here and get rid of me, you guys can do that. If you want to put President Trump on a mouse pad, Brother
you
Ron
actually have done
do
that. We have one with Trump on it from our Christmas cards from a couple of years ago.
All right.
But it's Cowboy Logic Laser.com.
Scan the song, guys. Download it. Let's teach secular music a lesson that faith, family, freedom, and the love of God is here to play real serious ball with regard to music, with Real America's Music.
If anything, we're all learning through the whole J6 thing, through the whole insurrection, Fedsurrection thing, and the 2020 election being stolen, is the BS that goes on in Washington, D.C. And I want to know, who the hell is the Senate parliamentarian? That's what I want to know, okay? She is an unelected bureaucrat whose position is not in the Constitution, John Thune, okay? Her name is Elizabeth McDonough. She was an Obama holdover, a Democrat holdover, quite honestly. She just gutted the GOP's $72 billion border bill. She axed the Border Patrol funding and security technology screening, and $2.5 billion for DHS. Now, John Thune can fire her. John Thune can also just ignore her recommendations. The filibuster is also not in the Constitution, John Thune. Okay, so let me get this straight. This fake, phony fraud, John Thune, just like the Republican Party has done the past with election integrity, which is an oxymoron in my book, Tim Burchett thinks, the Save America Act is an 80-20 situation for Democrats and Republicans. Well, Tim Burchett says he thinks Thune is being pushed, but it might be too little too late.
Hey, everybody, Tim Burchett. people are asking me about what's going on with the Save America Act. Well, the Senate, of course, is dragging their feet. The House has passed it twice. I've got a sneaking suspicion that they'll probably attempt to pass it or pass it so late in the dadgum game that it can't get implemented. And then they can go home and say, oh, look, we passed it, and everybody will be celebrating, patting them on the back. And then it just cannot get implemented at the state and local level in time for it to have any effect in these elections. And ultimately, I think that's what you've got. And I'm afraid in the Senate leadership, they have such a hatred of Trump and the conservative movement. They want things to go back to the status quo, which is them being called from the golf course by the Democrats when it's time to make a vote. And they do the obligatory, oh, we don't like what they're doing. And they get their crumbs off the side of the table and for their districts, and they go home and get reelected. And I'm afraid that's exactly what they're up to. And it's disgusting. And at some point, we're going to say enough is enough. And we're going to start electing people with some guts that are going to do something, aren't just going to sit around. America's tired of hearings. They're tired of pontificating. They're tired of being talked down to. So there's an issue that's across the board, something like 80% approval, and yet you can't even get it to a vote in the Senate. I just don't buy it, folks. Anyway, let's keep fighting. Let's pray for our country. Thank y'all for sending me here.
He is the only one telling it like it is.
Yeah.
I love that man. Okay, now we've got elections going on. Actually, as the show is being taped in Louisiana, Bill Cassidy is going down. He might not even make the break there. In fact, Trump-endorsed Julia Letlow is really running away with it, no pun intended. And obviously there'll be a runoff, but Cassidy might not even make the runoff. I don't understand how Thune doesn't realize look what's happening with Cornyn in Texas. This is unbelievable. The Senate parliamentarian, he doesn't have to listen to her, okay? I think James Woods said it right. He said there's a whole situation where you've got Donald Trump at 81 years old flying all over the country. You've got, all this stuff being done supposedly by Donald Trump, and the Senate can't even vote on the Save America Act, which is an 80-20 situation. This is so totally ridiculous.
I would like to know... And I'll ask the viewers, isn't Thune from South Dakota?
Of course it can be fixed. Huh. You think astronauts have tinnitus? Navy SEALs?
Yeah.
Okay. If there's anybody watching this show that's from South Dakota that supports John, you can Thune a piano, but you can't Thune a fish. Anybody. Would you send us an email and please tell us why? You can send it to info@cowboylogic.us. Info@cowboylogic.us.
I have a
Because just like Lindsey Graham,
yeah.
I don't know anybody that thinks John Thune is like even a serious human being.
Can I make an educated guess? Educated guess? These people know that if the Save America Act passes, they are not going to get reelected because the majority of states out there, especially blue states, but a lot of red states as well, have more registered voters than eligible voters. And they know it damn well. Okay? That, to me, is the bottom line. This guy cannot do a darn thing as the Senate leader. We've got 50 bills passed by the House that are still languishing, let alone the Save America Act. This is so frustrating. Thune's got to go. It only takes 5 senators to step up to throw him out. We'll be back right after this.
She hangs on the porch, soft and faded by time. Hose Valley Forge, cold and young blood in her lies. Last sack for the grave as they close weary eyes. A quiet promise beneath wide open skies. Every star holds a name, every stripe holds a tear. Our boys are gone forever, but Old Glory's still here.
Patriots Relief, your America First CBD company. We are Christian, conservative, and committed to helping you feel your best. Are you tired of chronic pain holding you back? It's time for a change. Experience the remarkable healing properties of CBD, expertly designed to alleviate pain and promote internal balance. Patriots Relief is here for you. Visit our website or call now. Use your promo code to unlock exclusive savings. Patriots Relief, helping you get out of pain and live life to the fullest.
Every star holds a name, every stripe holds a tear. Our boys are gone forever, but Old Glory's still here. Here's to the fallen, they stood in the gap, to the laughter and letters that never came back. I'll hold you close till my last breath is gone. Oh, glory, sweet glory, they'll carry you on.
Hey everyone, this is Donna Fiducia from Cowboy Logic, honoring Memorial May and every hero who gave the ultimate sacrifice to protect the liberty of all Americans. Every star holds a name, every stripe holds a tear. Our boys are gone forever, but Old Glory's still here. The powerful new release by Newen, Every Star, Every Stripe, available everywhere for download and streaming starting May 8th.
Every star holds a name, every stripe holds a tear. Our boys are gone forever, but Old Glory's still here. Here's to the fallen, they stood in the gap, to the laughter and letters that never came back. I'll hold you close till my last breath is gone. Oh, glory, the sweet glory, will carry you
try to facilitate a transition that ensures our president-elect is successful.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has unveiled shocking new evidence that former President Barack Obama and top aides in the Obama administration conspired to subvert President Trump's 2016 election victory and undermine the democratic will of the American people.
Some of the organizational issues in setting up a White House, we talked about foreign policy, we talked about domestic policy.
While publicly pretending to engage in a peaceful transfer of power, in private, former President Obama went to great and nefarious lengths to try to sow discord among the public and sabotage his successor, President Trump.
And I believe that it is important for all of us, regardless of party and regardless of political preferences, to now come together, work together to deal with the many challenges that we face. And in the meantime, Michelle has had a chance to greet the incoming First Lady, and we had an excellent conversation with her as well.
The new evidence released by the Director of National Intelligence, who is here with me today, confirms that the Obama administration manufactured politicized intelligence, which was later used as the justification for baseless smears against President Trump in an effort to try to delegitimize his victory before he even took the oath of office. The truth is that President Trump never had anything to do with Russia, and the Russia collusion hoax was a massive fraud perpetuated on the American people from the very beginning. And the worst part of this is Obama knew that truth, and so did all of the other corrupt officials involved in this scam, including former CIA Director John Brennan, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, former FBI Director James Comey, former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and many others.
We want to make sure that they feel welcome as they prepare to make this transition. And most of all, I want to emphasize to you, Mr. President-elect, that we now are going to want to do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you succeed, then the country succeeds. Because if you succeed, then the country succeeds. Because if you succeed, then the country succeeds.
Director of National Intelligence Gabbard's report further confirms what we already knew. There was no collusion, no corruption, except on the part of Barack Obama and the weaponized intelligence agencies at the time. The Russia hoax was a blatant lie, all ginned up by Democrat political operatives that were signed off on by then President Obama and leaked to the news media to launch a years-long witch hunt against President Trump and his first administration.
The president saying he is bound and determined to try to help Donald Trump be a successful president, successful transition, because he thinks that will mean success for the country as a whole.
Because if you succeed, then the country succeeds.
I cried on day 4, but this time it wasn't from pain.
Be careful with this nerve relief.
Woo.
Told you so.
Absolutely. Let's review a little bit now, though. I mean, everybody's PO'd that Trump has gone into Iran and actually done something that, Democrats for the last few decades haven't done a darn thing about. They've complained, but they haven't done a darn thing about it. So all the naysayers in D.C. and the media all said the same thing, but hate the fact that Donald Trump is actually doing something about it. Namely, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
What is certain is that if Iran ever had the knowledge to develop a nuclear weapon, and they passed that knowledge onto a covert program, which at one time in their history has existed, the world would be more dangerous. And now's the time for the international community to work together.
If Iran were to launch a nuclear attack on Israel, what would our response be? And I want the Iranians to know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. Because whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that.
To the issue of Iran, as long as I'm president of the United States, Iran will not get a nuclear weapon. Make no mistake, a nuclear-armed Iran is not a challenge that can be contained. And that's why the United States will do what we must to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
So here's my message to Iran's leaders. The United States will never allow you to acquire a nuclear weapon. As president, I will take whatever actions are necessary to protect the United States and our allies. I will not hesitate to take military action if Iran attempts to obtain a nuclear weapon.
Make no mistakes, we will never allow you to acquire a nuclear weapon. Not just during the term of this agreement, never.
We have a shared strategic commitment. Let me make clear what that commitment is. It is to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon, period. Period. End of discussion, period. Prevent, not contain, prevent. The United States is clear. We will not allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon.
So who's actually acting mainstream media on that? The only person is Donald J. Trump. Okay? I mean, this is so... and then they just can't stop with the insurrection, the Fedsurrection, the Russia hoax. Okay, Hillary, the videotapes are just great because if you go back on X, people find all this stuff. They can't lie about it anymore. It's on videotape. Hillary with Rachel Madcow years ago. Get ready, folks, because this is a fingernail scraping on the chalkboard moment. If Trump has the Russia hoax, then we have China.
You know, the only other adversary of ours who's anywhere near as good as the Russians is China. So why should Russia have all the fun? And since Russia is clearly backing Republicans, why don't we ask China to back us?
I hereby tonight ask China.
That's right. And not only that, China, if you're listening, why don't you get Trump's tax returns? I'm sure our media would richly reward you.
It's unbelievable. They just don't stop. Speaking about not stopping, James Comey in January of 2021 saying Trump has a bottomless desire to gain revenge. Seriously? Seems like it's the other way around. But check this out.
Yeah.
Convict him, bar him from future service, have the prosecutors, the local prosecutors in New York, pursue him for the fraudster that he was before he ever became president, lock him up for the garden variety frauds he did there, but don't give him that center stage, that dominant role in our national life, just down the street where Joe Biden is trying to heal this nation.
Heal this nation? Is he serious? I mean, what planet are these people on? By the way, John Guandolo told us in past shows just recently that not just Brennan, but Comey is also a communist. I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that. I knew that about John Brennan, but not Comey.
Here's the thing. Here's the deal with Comey. Because accuracy means something.
Mm-hmm.
The quote in which he used that in an article very easily can be interpreted as a tongue-in-cheek comment. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, is Comey a good dude? No.
I judge him by his actions. Sorry.
Does Comey have the values and the morals that all of you and that we have? No.
Mm-hmm.
Is he an avowed communist?
Well, not like
it
Brennan.
Depends on how you interpret a humorous, tongue-in-cheek statement. We got to be careful of this kind of stuff.
But you know what? He's making no bones about it right now. I mean, this guy is now under indictment. He's facing a court trial, and he's admitting that there are people that he still talks to inside the FBI. So the deep state is still very much there. I want to know why Kash Patel hasn't gotten rid of the majority of the people, especially at the top, because the fish rots from the head down. But, I mean, this is how brazen that Comey is. All right, and then talk about Arctic frost. We talked about this on the morning show on RAV last week. Arctic frost is targeting mostly, or all, I should say, of the Jan 6ers, as well as Republican senators that are more MAGA. And what Jack Smith did was he put in language that will make Donald Trump be tried after he leaves office. So it's got to go back to Judge Tanya Chutkan, who was last week.
Good luck there.
Jan 6 folks know that she's no fan of Republicans at all, let alone MAGA, to get them to throw this out. What is it? I always mix it up. With or without prejudice? The one where it would be thrown out completely.
All right.
And she's not doing that.
I want to give me the last 45 seconds here. Tina Peters.
Yes.
From what we can tell, and by the way, I don't even know what the date is. 15th? 16th?
16th, yeah.
16th of May right now. Okay. We found out yesterday that Tina Peters' sentence has been commuted and that she is supposed to get out of prison at some point.
June 1st.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks.
We'll hope.
All right. Need to pray for Tina Peters that she makes it for these next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And sadly, the pathetic media has already been trashing her this weekend. I'm sure they're going to go after the governor. Thanks for doing the right thing, Mr. Governor. You're watching Cowboy Logic, and we will be right back.
Here's to the fallen, they stood in the gap, to the laughter and letters that never came back. I'll hold you close till my last breath is gone. Oh, glory, sweet glory, they'll carry you on. Every star rolls a name, every stride falls a tear. Our boys are gone forever, but Old Glory's still here. Here's to the fallen, they stood in the gap, to the laughter and letters that never came back. I'll hold you close till my last breath is gone. Oh, glory, the sweet glory will carry you
Every star, every strike, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to push this song through Memorial Day because that's why we wrote it for Memorial May. But we have to thank you. We have to thank you. You gave us a #1 in the rock genre on iTunes and a #3 throughout the entire all genres of iTunes.
So cool.
You guys are amazing. Thank you.
I'll tell you, though, the video, every time I watch it, I well up. The video is
Download
just
it.
amazing.
Now let's keep it going. Let's teach secular music a lesson here. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
Speaking of giving lessons to people about the deep state, let's bring on one Ian Trottier making his debut here on Cowboy Logic. Hey, Ian, how are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm well, thank you.
Ian has a book called High Stakes Treason, as you see it right there. How John Brennan Compromised American Security for Millions. Ian, I mean, that
this
kind
ought
of
to be good.
Sums it up. Give us a brief background. I mean, you actually even tried out for a football team. I mean, you know, you're Mr. Athlete besides all this, but give us a quick background on yourself.
Yeah, so you're talking about the University of Oregon. I graduated in '99. This is before they were mainstream. I was asked to try out for the team a couple times. My roommate tried out, walked on, full-year ride. And I ended up living in Miami in 2016. There was a local buzz called the Zika virus, and I was looking at the debate around it, and that caused me to find a guy out of Stanford that was writing about corruption, financial corruption in the federal government. This is back in the early 70s. His name is Anthony Sutton. He walked away from the Hoover Institute and he started publishing independently. And that information struck with me. I tied that into deeper roots like the Rockefeller or the Rothschild, that sorts of thing, and vetted all the information. It crossed off. Somebody asked me to start a podcast on what was Wynwood Radio. I had background in various different things, parking industry, acting, sort of thing. But podcasting was totally something new, but I dove into it. And in 2024, I was approached by a former FBI agent with research that he'd done on John Brennan. Joe Biden was in office at that time, and neither he or I, of course, knew if Kamala Harris was going to win the election or Donald Trump was going to win the election. But once he gave me his research, I pushed it forward as much as I possibly could. Trump got back in the office, and now John Brennan is quite the buzz in the intelligence community, and certainly on social media and some aspects of mainstream media to some degree. And certainly the CIA was a hot topic recently with Jesse Waters. So that gave kind of the pavement pounding for what is known as the book High Stakes Treason by myself. And Roger Stone's written the forward. That's a little bit of background about me. I'm originally from California and, of course, living in Miami when I started the podcast.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody, it's low-hanging fruit to most of us that watch what's going on. Comey, Brennan, Lisa Monaco, Clapper. You know, it's amazing to me how they keep getting away with it. I mean, Comey and Brennan are on television, basically in your face. Even now, with possibly being under indictment. So recently you were on with Matt Gaetz. Tell us about that. And then I want to get into some of the deeper stuff that you found on Brennan.
Yeah, so I was actually in D.C. Recently as well. And while I was in D.C., I was sitting on a park bench outside the Capitol when I noticed Senator Ron Johnson and Senator Rick Scott walk down the path. I recognized them. I stood up. I had a book in my hand. I approached Senator Johnson about it. He pointed at it and said, "Oh, yeah." So he had seen it, and he said he was going to have his staffer reach out to me. And that staffer has reached out to me since then. So I've spent last October and most recently here this month, I've spent some time in the halls of Congress, both the House and the Senate, trying to gain some exposure to the deeper information that I have here on John Brennan. Matt Gaetz called me while I was in D.C., one of his producers, and brought me on for about 15 minutes regarding the FBI agents that were sent up to Langley. Not something that I know a lot about. In fact, it was the first time I'd heard that through Matt Gaetz. So I don't know what agents were sent up there. I don't know what questions they're asking. And I can only suspect that they are definitely tied to this subpoena that came down, Donna, when I was in D.C. the first time in October, passing out 100 copies of this book to Congress people. A week after I left D.C., Jim Jordan's office submitted a request to Pam Bondi's DOJ that John Brennan be investigated, and that led to those various subpoenas that are active in South Florida District at the Fort Pierce jurisdiction with Judge Cannon. The reason for that was the illegal raid on Mar-a-Lago during the Biden administration that John Brennan was right in the thick of. So that Matt Gaetz interview, for your viewers, they can go back to that and they can find what I said. But more importantly, it seems that John Kiriakou, one of the people that have written one of the three forwards in the book, you see Roger Stone's name on the cover, but John Kiriakou was also interviewed by Matt Gaetz around the time I was interviewed. So he's got some more information. He's former CIA, and he served almost 2 years in federal prison because he blew the whistle under the Obama administration on waterboarding. John Brennan, he says, destroyed his career. So John Kiriakou is a guy to be looking into and watching what he's saying to various interviews. He's been very vocal out of John Brennan. But I can certainly get into some of the deeper information regarding the contents of my book with you.
Yeah.
Before you get into the deeper information, I want to go ahead and get this out on the table right now. My understanding is that you are not suicidal, right?
No, absolutely not. I am not suicidal in any way.
I want to get that out on the table right now because you're getting into the weeds, man. You really are. And a hat tip to you for doing it.
To me, Brennan and Obama are two peas in a pod. Okay, they're both Muslim. Brennan converted to Islam when he lived in Saudi Arabia. He speaks fluent Arabic. By the way, it was he who signed off on allowing the 9/11 hijackers to come into the United States. Just so we get that straight. The thing is, to me, I mean, these two are just paramount in undermining the United States. They targeted their political opponents. So please elaborate on that. Yeah,
what people need to understand is that the McCarthyism, the red wave, that's not gone anywhere. And in fact, what we see through John Brennan and the Obama administration, that some of these actors at the upper echelons and offices of our government, they are directly tied to communism. You're talking about John Brennan, two critical things you mentioned. And we know this through Michael Springman, who's a former State Department employee, and Mike Benz did a show on this back in August, an hour and a half. What we know is through Michael Springman.
Stop scrolling and pay attention. Go to your kitchen, grab pink salt, lemon, and 2 ingredients.
Who served in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. When he arrived to that State Department office, and it was his job to give visas to what ended up becoming terrorists to our country, he says, this is controlled. Basically, this is a paraphrase. This is controlled by the CIA. Well, John Brennan is in Riyadh at that time when, according to John Guandolo, he converted to Wahhabism, which is a very violent sect of Islam. What we know through Springman's testimony is that 15 of the 19 9/11 hijackers came out of, therefore, John Brennan's CIA jurisdiction of Saudi Arabia. That's huge. Now, the other component to this, through John Guandolo, we know this, but the other component is this through lie detector tests of John Brennan, is that he voted for a presidential candidate of the Communist Party USA, that's CPUSA, a guy named Gus Hall back in the early 80s. So
Yeah, that
this
was
is a
decades
man
ago.
that is a
He makes no bones about it. He absolutely makes no bones about it. All right, we're going into a break here, though, Ian. When we come back, I want to talk about possible chance that Julian Assange, actually Assange and Snowden, may be talking about having a treasure trove of documents that Trump could be using. And we could get to the bottom of that with their information. And also, Trump has a post on John Brennan calling the Russia hoax an act of sedition and treason at the highest levels of government. So we want to get your take on that. Again, folks, you see him there at Real Ian Trottier on social media, but the best way to get his book would just be to go to his website, iantrottier.com. That's iantrottier.com. Again, the book you see there, High Stakes Treason, How John Brennan Compromised American Security for Millions. I mean, to me, again, I just don't understand how these people are still operating on television, in your face, and they make no bones about it. We'll be back with more on Cowboy Logic right after this.
Iwo Jima's black sand, that flag raised up high. One Marine never came back to his bride. Gettysburg silence, desert dust far away. You've covered so many on their final day. Every star rolls a name, every stride falls a tear. Our boys are gone forever, but Old Glory's still here.
If I was the deep state and I wanted to destroy America, I would rig the election with a puppet candidate. One that was so compromised that they would never say a word about it. I would create a false flag that allows for mail-in ballots. I would be in charge of the ballot counting machines. I would create a false flag to blame all who question the results of the election. If I was the deep state, I would prosecute anyone that went against me. I would sue and prosecute anyone that spoke up about the fraudulent election. I would use my powers to shut down all your internet businesses and bankrupt you. If I was the deep state, I would make everyone an example why you should never question a Democrat ever winning an election. I would imprison my foes. I would use my corrupt DAs and blackmail judges to destroy you. I would make sure all crimes I ever committed never happened. I would prosecute my biggest competition. I would make sure they could never run for office ever again. If I was the deep state, I would convince everyone that Ukraine Nazis were good and women are men. If I was the deep state, I would own every politician that mattered. If I was the deep state, I would push my pedophilia ambitions on you. If I was the deep state, you'd question your sexual identity but not the medical establishment. If I was the deep state, you would fear to ever resist me. If I was the deep state, you would wish I was really the devil. If I was the deep state, I would say mission accomplished.
Deep state. You don't get any deeper than John Brennan.
Do you think
just
we?
don't.
Do you guys think that we picked these bumpers with a purpose?
No, really?
Yeah, that's why.
Okay, we're back with Ian Trottier. With a name like Trottier, I would have thought you would have played hockey, but maybe that's me. Brian Trottier. I'm dating myself. Okay,
but let me ask you this: Did you dug bait?
Come on. You are
I'm
so
assuming
bad.
it's French.
It's French. God, he's so bad. All right. Your book, High Stakes Treason, How John Brennan Compromised American Security for Millions. About damn time something like this comes out. Just recently, with this in mind, Donald Trump posted on Brennan, on Truth Social, calling the Russia hoax an active sedition and treason at the highest levels of government. And he said the coup never ended. So if it's treason, there's no statute of limitations. So give us your take on that, knowing what you know about John Brennan.
Yeah, on that post on it, Trump has a video from a NCTC, that's National Counterterrorism Center, analyst, agent named Thomas Speciale. And Thomas Speciale had a George Mason panel discussion, directly questions Brennan about the Tulsi Gabbard email leaks. It ties him to the Russian collusion. Brennan openly calls it disinformation and calls it BS. So that is an example of the reset of these statutes of limitations, because just a few days ago, John Brennan also joined Nicole Wallace, who usually joins on MS Now, and denied any type of wrongdoing and or association, from my understanding and recollection of what he is saying, to this Russian collusion hoax. We know that is completely false. He orchestrated it. We know that through those emails. And he went directly to Cambridge University, interestingly enough, which is where Patrick Byrne is a former student of. And he states that he was a CIA asset back in 2006, brought into the CIA by...
Watch what ginger does to your wrinkles.
This is my face at 76. No makeup, no filter.
A guy named David S. Cohen, who was part of the Treasury Department that oversaw the sale of the Analysis Corporation, which, in my book, I allege that John Brennan illegally held stocks in and made just shy of $5 million off the value of that. David S. Cohen's a guy that brought Patrick Byrne into this. More importantly here is that Patrick Byrne has stated on Alex Jones within the last few months that John Brennan still owns the top two layers and therefore controls and directs the CIA domestically, stateside. John Brennan's the guy behind the CIA still, according to Patrick Byrne, and that and Patrick Byrne goes on to say that John Ratcliffe is a, quote, performing flea. These are directly from a former guy that says he was a CIA asset dating back to 2006. This tweet by Trump is massive because it shows direct denial of any association vocally and publicly from John Brennan to the Russian collusion hoax, or Russian collusion, rather.
Well, I can tell you this. Trump's not going to put out anything that Trump doesn't know. And Trump knows, because of the position he's in, more than all of us. So he's not going to fly a post up in the middle of the night or this morning like that unless he's got the receipts.
And he's basically setting a trap for them. Okay, enter Julian Assange and Snowden, that apparently they have a possibility of releasing a treasure trove of documents that can prove all of this. See, I always like to look at the bigger picture. These guys have been shot down and locked up. They're, shut up, quite honestly. They can't say anything. Trump obviously can give them pardons and have all this come out. And I also like to look at who's attacked and who's not attacked, okay? And like you just said, John Ratcliffe he's just there. What is he doing? And so he's not being attacked, so he must be doing, or at least leaving things status quo to keep the status quo going. And that's not good enough. Who is running the CIA at this point? Who do you think?
Oh, it's John. It's no doubt it's John Brennan, but we must also understand that John Brennan is just the public face of this. There are so many deeper layers to the CIA and who's controlling that intelligence community. John Brennan's just the guy that has left a paper trail. John Brennan's just the guy that has continued to lie and not come forth and come clean about what he knows. Look, according to John Guandolo, and I saw the post myself, the New Yorker magazine back in 2003 quoted James Comey as proclaiming himself as being a communist. This is another intelligence guy, FBI under Obama. I mean, we've got communists, therefore, and I'll use that plural because I think Barry Soetoro certainly is one. We've got communists that have completely infiltrated the former administration, and it would have certainly been working very closely to Joe Biden. So, who's running the CIA? From an outwards appearance, it certainly looks like John Brennan is still in control.
Yeah.
Let me shift gears here real quickly because we got about 3.5 minutes left. We've covered J6 more than any other national level television show, period. Do you believe, as we, that the CIA has a thumbprint or a fingerprint on January 6th? Because we know that the FBI did, the DOJ, we know that the DOD, we know DHS. Do you think the CIA has a fingerprint? And if so, what foreign country do you think played a role in J6?
Yeah, here's the problem. We know that when JFK was alive, Waldorf Astoria, this is a New York Times post, that he wanted to splinter. He's quoted by the New York Times as saying he wanted to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces. He got his head blown off. That was one of the reasons for it. The CIA has been an Achilles heel, I will say, in the intelligence community on our shores since at least 1946 when it was established after World War II. This is not an intelligence agency that is working for the betterment of the American people. We just saw them breach major power by going into what seems like either Tulsi's office herself or somewhere the office that she was controlling, and took 40 boxes saying that they had access to it. How does the CIA have access to anything the NSA does? This is a power breach. J6, in my opinion, Don, I haven't looked at it that much, but my opinion is that the CIA's got their letters written all over that inside job on J6. Absolutely, absolutely. And other intelligence communities or DOD, DHS being involved in that, my suspicion is that absolutely. And all roads to me through my work and through what I've studied over the years in regards to who's controlling who's actually controlling the finances of our federal government, which is in a $36+ trillion deficit that never gets paid down. All those roads, and I'm going to quote Anthony Sutton, or I'm going to source Anthony Sutton for viewers to go to and look at his work. We're looking at something called the City of London, and that is an economic system inside metropolitan London, formerly known as Londinium, a Roman banking center. It's that institution that controls the monarchy. And my belief, based off of Sutton's work, who's a former Stanford Hoover fellow, and G. Edward Griffin, there's a few other folks out there. My understanding, Eustace Mullins, another guy historically has spoken about it. My understanding is that that system is controlling our Federal Reserve System, which was established in 1913. So all of these kind of corrupt agencies that have lingered and maneuvered and operated throughout the decades in the background. I mean, supporting that would be this Russian collusion, the Steele dossier. That came right out of the surveillance system of Cambridge University. And Patrick Byrne's another guy that has talked right about that.
But the thing is, Ian, it's like we sort of won the revolution, but we really didn't. That's really the bottom line. Right. I mean, they're very much in. And again, Assange and Snowden are going to show mass surveillance of the American people. And this needs to come out. Thank God Donald Trump is still in there trying to push for this. So your book, again, Ian Trottier, High Stakes Treason, How John Brennan Compromised American Security for Millions. Gosh, I wish we had more time. IanTrottier.com is where you can find the book, and Real Ian Trottier on social media. Ian, thanks so much. We'll be back with more Cowboy Logic right after this.
Here's to the fallen, they stood in the gap. To the laughter and letters that never came back. I'll hold you close till my last breath is gone. Oh, glory, the sweet glory will tarry
Boom! You barn party drummers rock every week. I say it every week. I try to change the way I say it because consistency, as they say, is a sign of a small mind.
Thought it was insanity.
No, consistency. Hey, and we'd also be remiss if we didn't mention
Dana.
There you go.
And there it is, barn partiers. Ron makes these.
Get your signature drumsticks from El Ronbo along with a, and see, you could take that mouse pad.
Yes.
And you could use it.
Ron makes all of them. Yes, you
as
could.
a drum pad.
Yes, you could do
All right,
that.
let's get down to business. We've got a very cool brother here with us that's going to join us again. We've had him on many times, and we've known him for many years. And Donna likes to do the intros, so
okay.
That's known in the industry. Everybody is throwing it to Donna. Watch.
Well, let's bring him on, Ron. Anyhow, it's Colonel Rob Maness.
What's up, Colonel?
We've known him for
Hey,
many,
guys.
many years. MC'd a bunch of things you've talked about. 32-year Air Force career. You're on duty at the Pentagon on 9/11, B-1 Squadron Commander, Bronze Star, wrote part of the Nuclear Black Book, the Nuclear Football Code, National Security Guy, Constitutional Guy. The one thing I remember, I know you know what I'm going to say. Okay, you ran for Senate in Louisiana. Man, I wish you were there right now, but that's another story. You said to us, how do I run against somebody named John Kennedy? So the rest is history there, but I must say Kennedy is rather amusing. You can follow him on Facebook. And quite honestly, just about anywhere. And the book you see there over his left shoulder is What You Can Do About It, and that's what we're going to ask.
All right, and I gotta start right off with this. Colonel, our viewers are serious action people. They watch all of our interviews, and most of the time they come out of an interview saying, what can we do about it? You've written a book titled What You Can Do About It. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to find out what you can do about it, and Colonel Maness is going to let you know.
Well, thanks, Donna. I appreciate that. But the first Senate race I ran was against Bill Cassidy and Mary Landrieu, and Bill Cassidy is finally going down. I wish people had listened to me the first time.
He might not even make it into the runoff. That's how great it is. I'm hoping John Thune takes note of this, and of obviously Cornyn down in Texas, because people have had it, because people are seeing what they can do about it, I guess.
Exactly right. And the reason I ran in that race, just to start this off, we talk about that in the book. And the reason the book's titled that way is because Americans believe in the power of the individual. That goes back to before our beginning as the United States. And I come from a family on my dad's side that their service to the country goes back to July of 1775, when William Maness walked out of his county in western North Carolina with 4 other guys that were Scotch-Irish, the only ones that walked out of their county because the county was Tory, and joined the Continental Army in July of 1775 because they asked the question about what to do about the king and the tyrant and the taxes and all of those things. They said, what can I do about it? And they went and joined the Continental Army, and the rest is history. Same thing with that Senate race in 2014 against dastardly Bill Cassidy, who voted to convict Donald Trump in the second sham impeachment. A group of veterans in Louisiana, where I had retired to only 2 years earlier, came to me and said, sir, we've got to do something about these Republican politicians running on one message and getting in office and acting like they're a bunch of Democrats or worse. And the Republican Party in Louisiana had picked this former Democrat, major donor to the incumbent Democrat, Mary Landrieu, we were trying to unseat. And they said, sir, we need to do something. We talked about it. And they encouraged me to run, and the rest is history. And that's why this book exists today, is because a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people, encouraged me to write a biography. Well, I didn't want to write just a biography, so we've used my life experiences to match up with a architecture and a way of thinking about things that leads you to ask and answer the question, what can you do about it? Because we're Americans, and we always want to know individually, what can I do about it, as you just mentioned, Don?
Yep.
I want to know what we can do about the Senate parliamentarian besides John Thune, but,
Fire her. Look, I think 2012 is when this parliamentarian came into office. Fire her. She is not doing the job that she's supposed to do, and she's being allowed to do things in her job that she's not supposed to do, like stop legislation and prevent senators, especially the senators in the majority, from controlling the legislation that they want to pass. She needs to be fired and replaced with an objective arbiter of parliamentary rules that does not muck around in the legislative process other than to call balls and strikes. And this individual is obviously a leftist and is against the agenda the American people voted for when they elected Donald Trump for the second time in a miraculous reelection that he wasn't supposed to win again.
Actually, that was for the third time.
What can we do about it? Colonel, what can we do about it? You know, a big concern that Donna and I have is how short on time we are. We are seriously running out of time. And in our opinion, we've lost an entire year with the exception of J6ers being pardoned or commuted in some cases. But time is not our friend right now. What can we do?
Yeah, time is not our friend. Here's another example, the redistricting issue. You know, the word Indiana has become a verb on the right because a bunch of young Americans, Turning Point Action kids, got together in Indiana and said, these Republicans in the state Senate stopped us from redistricting to a stronger Republican map. We're going to do something about it. They got the president behind them. They got some money behind them. And they removed 7 of the 8 Republicans that voted against it. And now Indiana's redistricted to an all-red map. And the consequences of that is the individuals in Tennessee have removed Cohen from the Memphis area because they've removed that blue district and made all red districts. But we're running out of time. We have some states here in the South, like the one I'm in, where, you know, they came out really hard charging after the court decision, but then they backed off because we had already had our primary, even though you can stop the primary, you can stop the process, do the maps, and then if you need to, have another primary and still make general election day. It's not easy. It's a tough thing to do. But what can you do about it? Everybody needs to be writing those governors and the leaders of those legislatures.
I regretted signing up for this government protocol that sends the homemade version of Retrutide to your home for free. I lost 17 pounds in 10 days, and I had to stop because I have no clothes left to wear. I'm warning you. So only continue in this video.
And there's
Georgia
state senator
too.
and state rep to get this done now. You can't wait. If you wait and miss the opportunity, that's a violation of the art of war of Sun Tzu, which some guy on X there in Mississippi tried to use, and I had to write an article about it. You can find it on my X account, saying Mississippi needs 4-0 districts now, not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Benny Thompson is the guy that we would get out of there. He's the head of the J6 Select Committee that harmed so many Americans, and he has trashed that district. It's the most poverty-stricken district in the state of Mississippi. Economic development is very low in that district, and there's all kinds of opportunities, like the 2 major port cities on the Mississippi River are in that district, but there's no major economic development that's impacting the population, which is the poorest in the state, and really probably the poorest in the country, or one of the poorest.
You're preaching to the choir here because we're in Georgia and we've got Brian Kemp and Ratzensberger. He's the Secretary of State running for governor. He's still overseeing the elections. So Kemp says, we'll redistrict, but we'll do it in 2028. And just don't do us any favors, please. You can't get out of there fast enough as far as we're concerned. I want to ask you about, when we come back, what's going on with Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, and Trump's recent trip to China. Your take on that, because I don't see as China has too much to really be strong about, given the fact that they're running out of oil, like Cuba has already run out of oil, and yet they're kind of doing a shot across the bow to Donald Trump the second that they started discussing things. So it's kind of scary. It's very scary, in my opinion. Rob Maness, folks, you see him right there at Rob Maness, and his book, What You Can Do About It, right over there over his left shoulder.
Same thing you guys ask us every week.
Now you know what you can do about it.
Now you can get a book that'll tell you how to do it.
Exactly. We'll be back with more right after this.
In Arlington's rose, white stone standing still, she drapes every hero against their last will. The finest slow salute, a widow's soft tears. Your colors bring comfort to all of the years. Every star holds a name. Every sign holds a tear. Our boys are gone forever, but old glory's still here.
crazy world is telling you your sons can be daughters and your daughters can be your sons. When will the madness stop? Never. So you have to decide, will you comply or defy? They tell us all, you will own nothing, eat bugs, and be happy. Is this why America's largest food processing plants and food supply plants keep burning down? Do you really think this is a coincidence? Of course not. The system is telling us right to our faces what they have planned for us. You have a choice. Comply or simply defy their plan for us all. Defy the system's plan and execute your own plan. Abundant, safe, secure natural food supply. Introducing the Food Forest Bible. This bestseller by Jovan Hutton Pulitzer is the single most complete, executable, easy-to-follow plan for sustainable, self-managing food production for self-sufficiency and food security. For the first time ever, a coffee table, heirloom quality full color book which unlocks the ancient secrets of creating a food forest. Imagine planting in a way which requires no digging, no pesticides, and creates massive ancient food abundance. No fooling. Food forests are the ancient secret to planning and planting once. And have your own Garden of Eden, which will feed your families for decade after decade. Buck the system. Buck the New World Order and order your very own copy of Jovan Hutton Pulitzer's Food Forest Bible. Learn how to create a sustainable, self-managing, natural food production for self-sufficiency and food security for your family. Side yard, small yard, backyard, backlot, or even lots of acres, the Food Forest Bible works for everyone. Order on Amazon, hardcover, softcover, or ebook. Don't comply. Expertly defy the system.
This is my calling, carved in pain, born for the fight, baptized in flame. America bleeding, I heard the cry. Green Beret warrior, live free or die. Never forget. Never Steel birds screaming through the night, mountains closing in, no room for light, frozen ground, no place to sleep, waiting in silence, counting the beats. Down in the dark, engines and guns, death being packed for the innocent ones. Finger on trigger, breath held tight, waiting to bring hell from the sky. Targets marked, no turning back, justice loaded, ready to crack. This is my calling, carved in pain, born for the fight, baptized in flame. Painted the target, thunder overhead, shockwaves screaming, bury the dead. Never forget. Never forget.
Never forget, everybody. You guys know that song. We've been playing it for the last month or so with that bumper. And that was a song that we wrote that will be released, I think. I don't know if it'll be on an album or we'll release it as a single, but it will be released based on an email that we got from Jeff McKellop, J6er, when he was locked up on 9/11 in the year of 2023. And that whole song is based on that email that he sent us. So at any rate, when that comes out, you got to drive that up the charts too, because that's going to be another rock tune. All right, let's get back to business with the good Colonel. Colonel, we were talking about Iran before we went to break, and you are certainly an authority on analyzing this. What are your thoughts?
That's a big question.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to take a 15-minute break, and I'll be back.
Yeah, look, you know, the president, let's just be clear. The president is trying to end a war that's been going on since I was 17 years old. And I've been in uniform since I was 17 years old. I'm not now, but up until I retired in 2011. And the Iranians had declared war on all of us all that time. So I'm glad to see the decision was finally made by the U.S. president to fix the problem. That is, the Iranians are at war with us. They're fanatics who believe they need to bring back about an apocalypse using nuclear weapons on places like Israel, the United States, Europe, and all their Arab neighbors in order to get the 12th Imam back. That's where we're at. And that's who controls the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, and why we have completely devastated their military capability with a full-scale air and naval campaign that hasn't been seen in the West since World War II, really. This is full-scale, okay? The Israeli folks were doing a really good job at taking out leadership all the way down to the ground level. But with these guys, you're going to have to restart kinetic military operations and ramp that back up. You're going to have to keep doing the blockade, which I think the president was brilliant. I was calling for it amongst other people, the naval blockade of the Iranian ports. You got to keep that up because that's starving them of over a half.
My husband begged me to stop doing the free government protocol for homemade retetratyde after I lost almost $11
billion of revenue a day, and that means they can't pay their people consistently. And when you can't pay your troops consistently and their families are living in that country with them, they're listening to those families. Hey, I can't eat. I don't have a home. What's going on? Why are you doing this? Eventually, that IRGC core will collapse in on itself. But we've got to maintain our resolve, and we've got to do some other things. Acknowledge that while the president, I want him to be the president of peace, and I think he is, and he's given peace agreements, I think, an extra mile step. It's time to restart full-scale military operations against these people because they're equivalent to the German Nazi leadership in World War II. You either had to kill them or they killed themselves before they eventually surrendered. And if you remember, it was a military general that actually surrendered. It wasn't a political part of the political apparatus. It was a military general that eventually surrendered Germany. And that's what's going to happen here. But we've got to do a couple more things, too. We've got to cut off the overland routes, which we know China has been resupplying with military gear, food, those kind of things through overland routes, and the Caspian Sea route, which the Russians have been using to resupply them. We've got to cut off their supply, cut off their revenue, and starve that regime by strangling it of revenue and supplies, and eventually it will collapse. And I used the word eventually, but look, it's a military war. You cannot predict when it's going to end. It's been going 11 weeks, folks.
Mm-hmm.
11
But here's
weeks.
the thing. I mean, we have midterms and people have short memories. That's what's so scary. Now, nobody wants to talk about the fact, everybody complains here about the high cost of a gallon of gas. It's $20 a gallon in China because they've had to, so nobody talks about that. We're basically cutting off China's lifeline as well. And then you get Trump at almost 81 years old flying over to China and getting told by Xi about the Thucydides trap that Jack Posobiec talked about so eloquently on our network this past week. I had no idea about what that is, but the chutzpah, quite honestly, to do that. Give me your take on that.
Yeah, it's the Peloponnesian Wars is where Thucydides comes from. He was a general during those wars. Essentially, that was a threat to the United States because it was a warning that the losers in the Peloponnesian Wars they lost because they overstepped. They were the superpower of their day, and Thucydides fell into that trap, is what he described. So that's the trap. If you overextend yourself, even if you are the superpower, that potentiality exists, is what Xi was warning the United States about. Basically a veiled threat, which is pretty gutsy considering, and you mentioned their oil, is that the president has all the upper hand in that meeting. And I think that's why you saw them treat him so well, just like any other Western ally would treat a president of the United States. The Chinese went even above board on that as a sign of respect for what? Not necessarily just Donald Trump, but for the strength of the United States of America. In that Iran war and the Venezuela war, we have absolutely obliterated the Chinese surface-to-air missile systems and radars that they were bragging could take out stealth bombers, and they didn't even get a missile off. Okay, we killed them with in Venezuela. We killed them with non-stealth aircraft and missiles. So we completely devastated their capability, and they know that. And here's the good part about that visit: is it came out with Xi not telling Donald Trump to stop in Iran, but actually what appears to be green lighting Donald Trump restarting full-scale military operations, which many of us from former military folks have been calling for several weeks now. And two, he did not tell Donald Trump that he didn't want him to mess around in the Strait of Hormuz. As a matter of fact, it's more of a you're green lighted. Do what's necessary to get the strait open, because Xi is in a bad way. And then the third thing is the status quo over Taiwan is what the implied result of their discussions was. And from a United States perspective, that's a good thing because that means that the Chinese Communist Party is tempering its bombastic actions and language towards Taiwan in order to. Now, they're still going to do it, but we don't think that they will take any action on it because of the things I just mentioned, especially that we completely obliterated their military capabilities that they were bragging about very, very easily in such a way that I'm sure that their military commanders are still in a state of shock.
Yeah, it just scares me because of the midterms coming up. Go ahead, Donna.
Colonel, we got less than
the midterms. I'm glad you mentioned the midterms again. Look, the midterms are what they are. The choice is you're going to choose Marxist communism and Islamists that want to destroy the United States of America and impeach Donald Trump and some other people. I'll let you go ahead, Don, so I can get to that.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. Ladies and gentlemen, if they take the House and the Senate in the midterms, rest assured that in January, two things are going to happen. They're going to impeach Trump, and they're probably going to impeach J.D. Vance. And what ends up happening then with Hakeem Jeffries as the Speaker of the House is that we now have President Hakeem Jeffries. You got less than a minute. What can we do about it?
Get on the horn with your friends and family. Look, local action has national impact. This is all about local people and do things as the individual. That's what my book is about. We've got to get our message to our people. These are about base elections that they've got to get out and vote for their people that they've got as incumbents and the people that have maybe they've beaten incumbents. But on general election day, you got to get out and vote because your choices are the left and Marxism and gas prices under Biden, which were higher than they even are today in a crisis that's supposed to cause gas prices to go up.
Exactly.
And the other side of the choice is America, the Declaration of Independence. We are the ones that still believe in that. The other side does not. They will continue their path of
We got a
destruction
hard out,
of the
Colonel.
United States.
We got a hard out. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, and gun owners, get out and vote. We'll be right back.
Yes.
Here's to the fallen. They stood in the gap. To the laughter and letters that never came back. I'll hold you close till my last breath is gone. Oh, glory, sweet glory.
every stripe, everybody. Through the rest of the month that we call Memorial May, if you scan that code, you can download the song, and we thank you. We thank you.
We made it.
Because you made that song go to number one on iTunes.
How cool is that?
And I've never had that happen before. Thanks to you, it did. All right, we've got a Patriot in the house with us. We've got John Strand. He's a J6er.
There he is.
And he's actually going to walk the walk because he's running for Congress down there in Florida. And he's got a lot of things that I think he would like to implement for change up in that cesspool that we call Washington, D.C. If we can get this man back into the halls of Congress the right way here, because he was there one way. He was there a few years ago.
You don't want it to be the other way.
John, welcome to the show, buddy. Talk to us. First of all, you got a book that you've written that's going to be a barn burner, and and also we need to let people know how to get in touch with you and help you out in your quest to get into a seat in Congress.
Florida 19th, vacated by Byron Donald. So this is a big seat, a huge seat.
Sure is. Don and Donna, it's great to be with you. Thank you for having me on, and welcome all the Cowboys here. It's time to get some giddy up and get moving on this project, what I call the mission for our campaign in Florida 19, which people can visit and support at johnstrand.com, is Reclaim the Republic. We're going to reclaim the American constitutional republic that is our birthright. It belongs to us. It is formerly Byron Donald's seat, who is running to be the next governor of the state of Florida. So it's an open seat, which means it's very winnable. And this campaign is very interesting, you guys. It's getting very spicy recently. We are just announcing breaking news in the last 48 hours that John Strand, Patriot for Congress, has officially gained ballot access by petitions from voters in the district. In fact, we're the only candidate running for this seat that actually went to the voters and asked for their permission and support to be on the ballot. None of the other candidates even really tried. They're just going to pay the $10,000 failure fee to get on the ballot with their checkbook because they've got countless millions of DC or Chicago money or wherever else their funds are coming from, because they're just planning to buy a seat in Congress. You know, the same status quo nonsense that we're so used to and tired of. So we're the only candidate running that's actually the people's choice. Confirmed just this week, our team gathered almost 4,000 signatures. Mind-blowing to me, actually. And it's incredibly exciting. So yeah, the things are heating up, and this campaign is incredibly important, certainly to protect and preserve paradise here in Southwest Florida, but also because Florida's leading the nation, and all of us, no matter what state we are from or currently living in, we're all Americans. We all owe it to ourselves and our children to reclaim this republic. And you guys, the 2026 election cycle is not the midterms, it's the final countdown to decide if we're going to engage in our government as citizens, participate in this American experiment, and take it back from the globalists and all the other leftist radicals that have hijacked it and are well on their way to destroying it in front of our eyes.
Scary.
Well, John, in the last couple of segments that we did with Colonel Rob Maness, we were talking about a very terrifying thought, and that is if by chance, if somehow, the Democrats control the House, this is post-midterms, control the House and the Senate, January rolls around, and what's going to happen is Trump's going to be impeached, probably Vance will be impeached, and therefore we will all be able to reap the benefits, I say that facetiously, of President Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah, I mean, this is scary. This could actually happen.
So,
well, there's no doubt that Democrats know how to use power. And you know, you could say that's to their credit. They're not stupid. But the leaders of the Democrat Party are deranged, radical, and they are explicitly advancing an agenda that is evil. So we need to be very clear about this. We need to be very honest. We need to be very courageous and not afraid to say what the truth is. And we're not calling all Americans who happen to affiliate with the Democrat Party evil. It's a free country, and you're welcome to participate in whatever party you want to. I don't know what sane person could be associated with the Democrat Party in today's world because it's evil and insane, but the leadership of that party is deranged and destructive. They are deadly, and I mean that in the most literal way possible. So, of course, the book behind me on the screen, Patriot Plea, I had the pleasure of writing that in federal prison after I had been badly abused for 4 straight months in isolation. Again, I can't even describe to you right now what that's like or how horrific that was, but I urge you to order that book right now at johnstrand.com/book, because I tell the story of isolation and everything else that happened. And you guys, this is not a joke, and this is not hyperbole. Our nation is on the line. Your friends and family, their future, your children, it's all at stake in a very physical and existential kind of way. So there is nothing more critical than all of us urging our friends and family to wake up, engage, particularly in the primary election process. I'm running in a very important primary in Naples, Florida, and Southwest Florida at johnstrand.com. But no matter where you live, the war for America is waged, you guys, at the primary election level. So if voters only show up in November, they've already lost. You're just accepting essentially the lesser of two evils at that
That's
point.
correct.
We are engaged early and often. We got to tell everyone that voting is not optional. It's your civic duty. And if you don't vote, you are voting for the enemy.
And Florida is doing the great stuff with redistricting. In your district, we have a couple minutes left in this segment. What is the breakdown of Democrat versus Republican?
I'm in one of the reddest districts in the country. It remains that way. The redistricting was interesting, but of course it's going to help flip, looks like 4 seats to Republican in Florida for the delegation to Congress. So of course that's an example, and Governor DeSantis in the House in Florida has been leading the nation in terms of actually fighting for conservative values, actually using the power they have to wage unfortunate war against the left and the radicals on the other side. So like I said, the Democrats know how to use power. And they have no qualms. They have no morals. They will target and kill you. Look at Charlie Kirk. Look at endless examples. Look at who they let flood into the border with sex trafficking and illegal aliens with criminal histories that are let loose and murdering people left and right. You all know that this is reality. It's on our TVs and in our phones every day. So we have to get very serious and consider that our own friends and families are under existential threat, because they are. So we got to vote. We got to get involved, and we got to support patriots that are willing to stick the necks out. So join the fight at johnstrand.com.
Yep, johnstrand.com. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. What John said a minute ago about the midterms, the primaries being so important, it is. It is. That's where you can pick the representation. That's right. Once you get to the primary, to the midterms, if you didn't have a voice during the primaries, you're stuck with whoever ends up winning those primaries. And
people are waking up to that, at least. Look at Texas.
And
look at
all I want to say is John Thune.
Hashtag Rumble Takeover in the chat.
I appreciate all of you guys coming out, showing that Rumble love. We're partying it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
South Dakota, you got stuck with a turd.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
Well, we all got stuck with it.
Yeah, we all got. We're all smelling that turd.
He's
right?
sticking it to all of us.
It's killing all of us.
All right. When we get back from the break, we're going to have John with us to the end of the show, and then, of course, as a beloved J6er, he's going to the national anthem with us, just like we do every week. You're watching Cowboy Logic. We'll be back.
Will carry you.
Hello, everybody. Kelly Meggs. I'm sure you know me at this point if you watch Don and Don at all. But tonight I let the dogs out for the last time and was kind of doing my nightly ritual. I sit outside a lot because I don't like being inside because of the jail sale thing, but I reflected a lot on this past week and with Charlie Kirk being assassinated and everything that happened with him. Our prayers all go out to him, but we also have a sense of what can we do? What can we do as Americans and as citizens to stand up against this? And what we can do is we can support companies that support us and support what we believe in our country. And Sugar Creek Goods is one of those companies. I just took a shower, like before bed. That's what I do every night. And I thought about this while I was in the shower. I'm like, this is a fantastic product. Not only is it an amazing product, but it's a company that supports our beliefs and in America. So if you want to do something, use your promo code 1776 and make a difference. Buy from an American company that supports Americans and supports what we believe in. Not what the media and everybody else tells you to believe in, but the truth. Use your promo code 1776. And God bless you. And God bless America.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
From Real America's music artist Newen comes a powerful new anthem honoring the men and women who gave everything for this country. Every Star, Every Stripe from Cowboy Logic.
Here's to the fallen, they stood in the gap.
With unforgettable lyrics honoring Valley Forge, Iwo Jima, Arlington, and generations of brave Americans, this is more than a song. It's a reminder of who we are. Pre-save Every Star, Every Stripe right now. Just scan the QR code or search for it on iTunes. RAV family, let's run it up the charts like only you can do.
You want to pay J6ers? You're damn right I want to pay J6ers. If you got wronged by the government, then you should be made right.
Pay
them now. Let's do it again. We got to do it together. Pay them now. We've been talking about this, and I'm going to be nice. I don't want to edit my own show. But you people in Congress are trying to write laws that prevent righting the wrong of J6. Pay them now.
Yeah. None of them will look at, J6 A True Timeline or any of the stuff that we've had on our show for now going on 5 years to actually prove it was a Fedsurrection as opposed to an insurrection. But one of the people who lived it is our guest right now, and that, again, is John Strand. Again, let me just tell everybody, John, you worked with Dr. Simone Gold. We worked with the frontline doctors as well. In fact, we work with Dr. Stella on our show quite a bit. And you were there, and... Yes. This whole thing, I mean, the Oath Keepers had permits.
Well, they were there protecting you.
There, yeah. It's such a setup. It's so obvious now. And then you still have people running for Congress and the Senate that say, oh, there were 5 police officers that were killed and blah, 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 blah. They can't ever name them. Meanwhile, Michael Byrd is still walking around a free man. It's just frustrating to no end. And they're getting to a point where they want to be able to go after Donald Trump after he leaves office with this Jack Smith investigation. So talk about that, because we had a 99.9% conviction rate of the Jan 6ers in the D.C. circuit. So you were saying you were telling...
100% conviction rate in front of juries. 100%
Yes.
in front of those DC juries. So the idea that you can have a constitutionally protected right for a jury of your peers in Washington, D.C. is ludicrous. It's a farce. So the numbers bear that out without question. But no one's asking the question, why do we even have a DC district court? It shouldn't exist. And it's an abomination. So that's one really foundational kind of thing that you're not going to see many other candidates. I don't know of any other candidates even talking about that, but we're going to be doing that here at John Strand, Patriot for Congress. So if you want to get a real patriot in Congress, and if you want real change in Washington, the kind that they'll fight and resist to the death as they always do, then I need you guys to join the fight at johnstrand.com. Send us $26 to win 2026, one patriot at a time, because that's what it takes, and we will win this race. But we need to get folks that actually know what it means to go through the meat grinder of government weaponization. And we need men of courage and faith to get back in the government and lead our nation back to the fundamentals of freedom, right? What are those fundamentals? We believe that God is the source of our rights, not the government. That includes life at all stages, liberty, and the ownership of private property. We believe the only valid purpose for governments to protect your rights from infringement, not to steal your money and spend it on foreigners and daycare scams. And we believe that the Bible is God's instruction manual for life, and that the Constitution and Declaration, which were drawn from those scriptures, are the sacred guardrails to constrain the government from becoming a burden. Well, we've lost that now. The government is a monster, and we need patriots with courage and tenacity and wisdom and humility and biblical virtue to get into the government. That's the only way we're actually going to turn this ship around. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be fast, but we have an incredible opportunity to get it started with some really powerful people and moments. And please support us at johnstrand.com. It's going to be a flashpoint.
Well, and any viewers that we have from the Florida 19th District.
Yes, I said oatmeal, the so-called healthiest breakfast on the planet. People...
It's very easy in a district that is that red to just sit back during the primaries, because you're going to end up with a Republican candidate for the midterms. You got to make sure you end up with the right Republican candidate, ladies and gentlemen.
No more rhinos.
You've got to get off that couch. You got to get out of the house. Do it on election day, and go vote.
Before election day, we need people in the streets knocking doors. That's the way we're going to win this campaign. I asked Byron Donalds how he won in 2020, and he said, I went and knocked a lot of doors, met voters face to face. There's no substitute for it. You get out there, you meet those folks, they appreciate your effort. And again, you guys, we're the only candidate in Florida 19, and there's a dozen supposedly rhino Republicans running. Dozen Republicans running to be your next congressman. Only one of them went out there and gathered almost 4,000 signatures to actually earn your support to be on the ballot in the first place. That's John Strand, Patriot for Congress. We are the people's choice, and we have a chance to really win this with grassroots support, but we need everyone listening to get involved. If you're in Southwest Florida, go to johnstrand.com and click volunteer, sign up so we can plug you into our team, and we'll get you knocking doors, making phone calls, chip in $26 and whatever you can. That's how we win, and we're dedicated to it. We have a chance to really turn the tide here.
When is the primary?
The primary election is August 18 in the state of Florida. So voters will be selecting their governor, Byron Donalds, along with other Republican candidates. And in Southwest Florida, they'll be voting for John Strand versus a litany of other supposed Republicans coming in from all over the country with money from who knows where. And it's a real fight, and it really matters.
Is there a debate scheduled, John, with you and the other Republican candidates?
We've actually had 2 Florida 19 forums so far, and there are 3 or 4 more coming up in the coming weeks and months before August 18. So you can go to johnstrand.com and find our calendar to see what's coming.
Good. And what's the population of Florida 19? Do you know approximately?
Most congressional districts are roughly apportioned to be the same. That's the intent. So they end up somewhere between 750 to 850,000 people, give or take. So it's a little south of 1 million people total in a congressional district.
Right.
But the other thing that's interesting is Byron Donalds won his seat in 2020 with less than 25,000 total votes.
Wow. Yeah, 'cause people
People,
just
you got to
don't-
get off your
Yeah.
asses and take care of business in the
We
primaries.
can win this, you guys, if you get involved. It's just that simple.
If we don't, here's the bottom line, and I'm talking nationwide. If we don't do the right thing, you're going to be welcoming President Hakeem Jeffries into the Oval Office. Yeah. That's what's on the line. John, we've been saying this for 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
This is the most important election cycle. This is the most, and every 2 years we say the same thing again. Okay, all the marbles are on the line now. It's because it keeps getting more and more serious. This is heavy, what's going on.
Yeah.
100% agreed. Like we've been saying, the radical left, and the uniparty rhino establishment that covers for them, they are murderous. Literally. So I'm not sure how much worse you want it to get, but they will keep advancing their agenda and they will keep threatening and killing people. Like it's not hyperbole to say that. We've seen they've tried to kill President Trump 3 or 4 times just in the last year or two. It's just outrageous. So we really have to be sober and strategic. And you guys, we have to be unified. Byron Donalds talks about this quite a bit, actually. The Republican Party, the conservative movement, it is fractured a lot. We need to get our heads straight about all of this propaganda related to Israel, for example. We need to get our heads straight related to all of this infighting, sabotaging President Trump and his agenda and his decision-making as commander-in-chief. Should we be criticizing our government, including President Trump? Yes, in good faith, that's legitimate. But we do need to rally behind President Trump and entrust him and support him in being the executive leader that he is and that we elected him to be, and advance his agenda. And we need some patriots in Congress to support him in that effort. I love what Brandon Gill is doing, what Andy Ogles is doing, what Randy Fine in Florida is doing. So we've got a couple of great guys, but we need a few more to really lead that contingency to storm the gates. In the end of my campaign launch ad, I say on August 18, we're going to storm the Capitol for real. Because they're going to come at me with this. He's a terrorist and he stormed the Capitol.
Of course you are.
Just make sure you don't steal the lectern.
We need to take our nation back.
Ladies and gentlemen, pick up the book, John's book right there, Patriot Plea. You can get it at johnstrand.com/book. And also we need you to go to johnstrand.com and
support him.
And support him for this primary. And then for the midterms. John, every week for years now, we go to the most beautiful national anthem ever sung, and that is by all of our beloved J6ers that were stuck in the D.C. gulag when they recorded it with President Trump. Gentlemen, hats off. Ladies and gentlemen, hand over the hearts. Thank you all for trusting us with 2 hours of your valuable time. John, we stand behind you on this election.
Thanks, John.
God bless you.
Thanks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.